I was already like, I'm in, but that was like, yeah, I'm in, and this place is sick.
Well, I first started to see like Andy Wright and Jared Eberhardt. Those were kind of the first two I saw riding Brighton. And I remember vividly Andy Wright on the Nitro Pyro. So that would have been, I don't know, what is that, 91, 92 or something? 90, anywhere, somewhere in that. It was, and he rode under the lift, and on this rock, just right under me, did like a backside 5 on like a backside hit on a rock. And it was tiny, but it was kind of nollied, and it just had so much style and wide stance. And then Eberhardt comes behind him, just even wider stance and Carhartt overalls. And so those were like pretty impressionable. I mean, that moment alone like was insane.
Once we got our licenses, we started driving to Brighton. It was about a 45-minute drive. We started going to Brighton, and Brighton just opened up a whole new world of snowboarding for us. You know, the vibe there was just super cool, super down to earth. Just going up there and seeing, you know, Tonino and Ostler and Brandon Ruff, Josh Roberts. Benny was up there quite a bit. Jason Brown was up there quite a bit. And, you know, when we first, you know, knowing about Jason Brown and Brandon Ruff and, you know, that they were these pro snowboarders, it was just kind of like, whoa, like, you know, what does a pro snowboarder do, you know? And I think they were the only ones that pretty much had all the gear, and they were just looked at as like the coolest people on the mountain.
And then it evolved into Tonino and Brandon Ruff and those guys, and that was more, they were maybe a year ahead of us, but they were the ones getting sponsored. Jason Brown was kind of in that same timeline, but a different group. But he was a little more pro. And then that was kind of where it all kind of started to pop.
The way that Brighton came into my world was, it was kind of like it was always this other resort that one day I'll get to. Because when I started snowboarding, I lived in Farmington, and that was pretty far away from Brighton. So I was either snowboarding in my buddy Mitch Nelson's backyard or up at the resorts in Ogden. And even though I'd never been to Brighton, it was somehow I already had this sense of like, it kind of sounds corny, but it's like the Holy Grail. Like it's this place I need to get to at some point.
Mimicking what we would see from the lift. Like, all right, I got to go be able to back 5 that little rock that Andy Wright did at least, you know? And so all the things we saw, we went and made sure we could do. And it was kind of like, that was just our checklist. And then Jay Brown became like almost like the target in a way, you know? It's like, okay, that's the dude that we just need to mop up. Like, let's figure out how to go just be better than that. That's the standard, because it's creative, it's impressionable, and it's like fundamentally good snowboarding. Like he was a good snowboarder. And so it was just a really good standard to chase.
It was just a real cool crew. One year, Brian Iguchi and Jim Rippey came up there. And I mean, just seeing those guys and just seeing what Brighton was offering was just so cool to be a part of. Tina and Mike Basich were pretty regulars there. And Downing and Shannon Dunn would come quite often too. And it was, when you saw them, you just wanted to perform. You know, you just wanted to do your best. And I remember, I think we were riding up there on Thanksgiving Day, and we were in line, and I was telling my friends, I'm like, I just can't wait to go home and eat some turkey. And Tina Basich turned to me. She was standing right in front of the line with me, and she's like, I can't believe you're thinking of turkey right now on a day like this. And it was like a powder day, and it made me feel so stupid because Tina just rebuked me for wanting turkey. it's just kind of those days, you know, you're just like, what? Tina, I didn't even know you were in front of me.
Me and JP and Roberta went up there and we like flipped off the road into the creek down there. The road turned, but we just like kept sliding. So that was the first time went off the road.
I think I actually remember the first time I went there was like probably like a Friday after school. I had a new snowboard that I got for Christmas, and I never had ridden a chairlift yet, but I was just like, I gotta go. I have this opportunity to go there, and I went there with my sister actually, and she was on skis and I'm getting on the lift somehow. I don't even know how to do that at this point. And I remember like on the way up the lift, like this is up like the crest lift before it was like a high-speed quad. There's like one little launch ramp shaped rock, like it's there in the early season, and so I could see it like right from the lift, and it was like, I just gotta get to that somehow, because if I can get to that, I can like get in the air and like maybe grab my board. So I'm going up the lift, get off the lift, don't even really know how to carve or anything, but somehow like in my head I've got this, like I know where this feature is, like 3/4 of the way back down the mountain. Somehow like get my way to it. Just carving toe edge is like this is like a challenge at this point, and I had to like carve heavy toe to like get over to it and somehow get in the air, grab melon, and like, I mean, it's already game over for me in snowboarding. Like I was already like, I'm in, but that was like, yeah, I'm in, and this place is sick and I need to come here like as much as possible. So I think that's kind of one of my first big memorable experiences at Brighton. I'm guessing that would have been like 92 or 3, maybe even, yeah, 92 or 93. So just about to go into high school, so like 15 or maybe almost 16 or something like that.
I started in 1991, I believe. I was 14 years old. Yeah. My friend Scott Grimm, he grew up, I lived out in Stansbury Park, so, you know, it was about an hour and a half from Brighton. And he was like my neighbor, and he's how I discovered snowboarding. From the very first day, like straight up hooked. Like, I ride by the place, like, on, like the Lost Maid Trail or Mary Trail. I don't know, I call it Mary's, but like that easy trail that goes down and there's like a little bump. First place I ever caught air and like did a grab. And I still ride by that to this day, and I'm just like, yep, that's where it's at. Have been obsessed with it ever since, I guess.
There's one guy, Dave Farmer, big red mop and the perfect handlebar mustache. And he was a badass. And he was the one, if you were ever going to get busted for clipping, it was going to be him. And so we had to come up with solutions for clipping that, you know, he couldn't figure out.
Farmers basically raised everybody that's come through Brighton. You were either afraid of them or you loved them. But he's the one that ran the lifts, ran everything up there.
Farmer ran the lifts, man. He was kind of in charge of everything, and he was just this like super leather skinned, like always outside, cruising around on a 4-wheeler, standing at the bottom of the lift, and he knew everybody on the mountain, and he engaged with us in a really cool way. But Dave Farmer's the shit, just a mountain man, great dude. Yeah, he's a solid cat for sure, and just a staple of Brighton Resort.
Farmer was there to let us on our first chairlift, and I believe he's still there. So he warmed up to us, started knowing our names, and was always stoked to give us the first chairlift.
Still up there, yeah. We'll see him from time to time, you know, and he remembers our names. We haven't seen him in years, and he'll remember our names, Kelly and I, and just sweet as ever.